Hi everyone, welcome to my Game Week 17 transfer plan. Games are coming thick and fast. As a result of this, our players are picking up injuries and suspensions, making our free transfers even more precious. In this video, I'm going to show you the problematic players that you should be selling, and I'm also going to show you players that you should be buying, all backed by stats. I'm going to run you through my transfers for Game Week 17. I've got two aggressive options at the moment, as well as answering, is Isak essential for us in FPL? Now, if this sounds good to you, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. Second week in a row, this team has performed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say to you there isn't problems, because there is. If you look at the team, you can see I've highlighted 5 players who are on the chopping block. Now, let's start with Lewis. I spoke about him last week. He survived. I didn't make no transfers last week. I kept him on the bench. Fortunately, I just managed to get 3 defenders onto the pitch. Lewis, though, even though his suspension's over, Manchester City look in trouble. They don't look like they're going to keep a clean sheet any game. I mean, I wouldn't back them even against the bottom 3 teams in the league at the moment. So Lewis is definitely a problem. Next up is Greaves. Again, I know he's only 4 million, but he's a player I do need once in a while, especially across this Christmas period where there's rotation. What if I needed him this week? He wasn't to be seen again. So he's a problem player. And if I've got the luxury of removing a £4 million player, I will do it. You'll see if he's going to figure in my transfer plans coming up very soon. The 2 midfielders, Mbeumo and Semenyo. Let's start with Semenyo first. He's starting to become a bit of an issue here. He's only got 1 return in the last 10 game weeks, and that was against Manchester City where most of us benched him. So he is a problem. Yes, I know he's cheap, but at the moment there's other cheap midfielders who are popping off and returning at a superior ratio than he is. Should I get rid of him? You're going to see. Mbeumo, he's the one I really wanted to get rid of. There's a couple of reasons. I'm going to discuss that in a bit more detail in a minute. He was meant to go 2 game weeks ago, but I've kept him and he's returned 10 points and 13 points. It shows you at times the power of waiting in FPL. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. The first reason I didn't get rid of him was because the Liverpool game got cancelled. So I wanted to wait and assess what's going on. I didn't make no moves. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen with more cancellations the week after or whatnot. So I thought I'm going to wait. That worked in my favor. The week after, there was other reasons. So just a reminder again, you don't need to be too hasty and too reactive when it comes to transfers. Having said all of that, he still is on the chopping block, mainly for the reasons I discussed in last week's video. And if you did miss that, you want to go check it out. And lastly, up top, this is another example of waiting a week can change the landscape. Last week, I had Jimenez highlighted as a potential make weight for another striker I've been looking at. Now, Jimenez has got the difficult fixture out the way, Liverpool. Fulham still look good and their fixtures look great. Maybe I keep him and get rid of Pedro, who's only returned once in the last 4 game weeks. So all in all, these are the players I'm considering moving out. Now, let's start with my option 1. It's similar to what I had last week. So it's Lewis going for Trent. Now, this is almost a straightforward move. A player with hardly any attacking potential or clean sheets for a player who's got clean sheet potential and definitely attacking return potential. So no brainer there. But how do I make that money? I've only got 0.4 in the bank. Well, I get rid of Mbeumo, which I did say a minute ago was a very difficult transfer. 10 points and 13 points, so getting rid of him seems very tricky at the moment. But then I bring in Enzo, who's been returning very well. Maybe not the 10, 13 pointers, but he returned in the last game week versus Brentford as well. Which means I get to power up the defense. It will allow me to have Trent, Gabriel and Timber, super powerful defense, as well as having a good midfield. Yes, I lose Mbeumo, which is frustrating, but this is definitely one of the options I really, really like. Now, option 2, again, the bottom part of it is very similar. It's Mbeumo to Enzo. For me, it's just the money I need in my account to enable other moves. Now, this one here doesn't strengthen the defense, as you can see. So Mbeumo for Enzo, no problem. Midfield is almost like for like. But then it's João Pedro for Jackson. Now, João Pedro's a cheap, excellent options. Brighton have been a bit random recently with some of their performances, and he can be quite frustrating on the pitch when he drops really deep, very far from goal, not much goal action for him. But then you think he's that cheap with penalties, and Brighton are still an excellent team this season. Having just said that, Jackson, Chelsea are the best attacking team in the Prem. They're challenging for the Prem. He's their #1 striker. So which option do you prefer? Option 1 or option 2? Now, I should say, these are the 2 options which are my favorite at the moment, but I am also considering doing nothing. This worked for me really well the last 2 game weeks, or basically I can do a single move, which is get rid of Lewis and just bring in someone like a Robinson, a cheap defender who's performing well, or get rid of Mbeumo for Enzo. I don't have to do a double move and just take my time and keep the free transfers and assess the FPL landscape. A lot can still happen around this Christmas period with injuries and players missing games. If you've got the free transfers, you can react to it very quickly. The first player I'm going to talk about in detail is Antonee Robinson. I did say in the earlier section regarding my transfers, I could easily do Lewis to Robinson and save the other transfers. And I'll tell you why I'm considering him. First and foremost, look at the price, 4.8 million, pretty cheap. Doesn't take up all my budget and allows me to use money in the attacking positions where this season, the majority of our points are coming from. The minutes, 1,440, tells you he practically plays 90 minutes every game, which is excellent for us. XA 2.1, that's pretty good. And the points per match 3.4, but I must say, he's not exactly a secret. He's already 17% on. I think he's going to be 30% on soon. And the reason is the fixtures. Game week 17, he's got Southampton at home, one of the best fixtures. And then it's Chelsea away. That's a very difficult fixture. It's probably one of the most difficult fixtures. Then he's got Bournemouth, Ipswich, West Ham, and Leicester. Gorgeous fixtures. You'd expect maybe 2 clean sheets and 1 attacking returns from those 6. The predicted points are nothing special. You can see that there's a couple that are near 4 points per game, but I'm hoping he can surpass that with the upcoming fixtures. Now, one of the main selling points of Robinson is how well Fulham have been playing. Silva has been incredible. He's got this Fulham team playing very, very well. And I'll tell you now, most teams do not want to play against them. They can play aggressive, direct, technical. They've got everything in their locker. If they want to play direct and fast, they've got players like Iwobi, Jimenez, Adama. If they want to play technical in small spaces, they've got players like Smith Rowe, Pereira. They've got everything covered in this squad. And Silva has them ready tactically every game. They're a problem. And as well as Silva and Fulham overall, I should be talking about Robinson more. Is he the best left back in the Premier League? Now, I ask you this question, get in the comments and let me know what you think. The reason I say this, and I've got a couple of stats here for you, one taken actually from the Liverpool game. Robinson also made the most tackles, 5, the joint most interceptions, 4, and also created the most chances, 4, of any player down the left-hand side in that match. It tells you how dominant he was, and in a game where he's playing against world-class players, he was man of the match. Robinson has now assisted 11 Premier League goals since the start of last season. Now, I put this in here to let you know it's not just a warm patch he's having at the moment. He's been performing really well since last season. This is why I say to you, other teams will be taking note of him, especially Liverpool, who are on a hunt for a left back. Maybe he ticks the box. Robinson is currently the 10th highest scoring defender with 55 points in Fantasy Premier League. Now, that might not sound great to you, but when you consider how many more expensive defenders there are below him, playing in theory for superior teams, it tells you how well he's been performing. For me, someone that's looking to bolster their defense and get rid of players like Greaves and Lewis, I'm not going to look no further than Robinson. I think he ticks all the boxes, and I'm going to say bye. Get in the comments and let me know if you agree or disagree. The next player I'm going to discuss is Isak. Now, this player is fully hyped at the moment. A lot of FPL managers are talking about him. The ones who own him love him and can't stop showing him off. And the ones who don't own him are looking to break their teams and get him in ASAP. Now, should you be doing that? Well, let's have a look. First and foremost, he's 8.7 million, 80 points at the moment, but the minutes is what I like. 1,128. The reason I say this is a player who's notoriously misses quite a lot of games. Those minutes are not too bad. XG 7, XA 2, and points per match 5.7. His ownership is 26.5. I can see that increasing before this deadline. Now, the reason I say this to you is look at his last 3 game weeks. 11, 8, 11. Not many strikers have been performing at that ratio, so if you don't own him, you're feeling it. And to make matters worse, game week 17 is Ipswich away. It's a gorgeous fixture. After the Ipswich fixture, you could argue they get tricky. Aston Villa at home, Manchester United away, Tottenham away. Me personally, I still think they're actually decent for Isak. And from game week 21, it eases up. Wolves at home, Bournemouth at home. So you could make a case here, if you don't own him, you pray against Ipswich away, he does nothing. And then those 3 fixtures, you might back against him with a Jackson or a Wood, and then jump back on in game week 21. Or who knows, a lot could have changed in FPL around that time. Looking at his predicted points, they look pretty good. Couple of 5s in there, couple of 4s. Even in tricky fixtures, you can see he's got 4s near 5s, which again, just reaffirms, makes me happy to own him even for those fixtures. I don't see myself removing him anytime soon. But we should look at the pros versus the cons of owning a player like Isak. I'll start with the pros. Good minutes. I said a minute ago, He's starting to tick them off this season. There's been previous seasons where I was very worried about him being on the pitch. He does pick up little niggly injuries, which you could see is one of my cons. He's injury prone. So we do hope he can stay fit and carry on causing this havoc and giving us these gorgeous points. Another pro is that he's a penalty taker. Yes, us FPL managers, we love a penalty taker. The fixtures, maybe not as excellent as they were before, but they're still good. I think they're very good for an attacking player. And he's the talisman of this team. Wilson is out injured again. There's no issues with anyone touching his position. Yes, slight possibility he could get rotated during the Christmas period, miss maybe a game or play just 45 minutes. It's definitely a possibility if they manage his minutes. Now, the cons I've already said about it: injury prone, the injury potential, and lastly, there's alternatives. There are alternatives up top. There's loads this season. It's one of the best seasons we've had up front. There's so many players doing so well. Now, this is the question everyone's been asking me: is Isak a must own? Now, I'm going to start off and say straight away, no player in FPL is essential or must own. And I can back this up by saying there's managers in my mini leagues who are in the top 20k, top 50k, and they don't own him. It goes to show you don't need to have every player that's doing well. As long as your squad is strong and the other players are performing, you can easily go against him. So hopefully I've eliminated this must have, or you're going to break your team or take -8s. Yes, do I think you should get him? Yes, I actually do. I own him, but I do think if you can get to him, I think he's a top player. And even with these fixtures, I think it's going to be tricky for you to watch this weekend's games without owning him. So from my perspective, Isak is an easy buy for this upcoming game week. You haven't missed the boat. If you can get him into your team. Before you make any transfers, it's my weekly reminder to tell you there's midweek fixtures. Please be careful. Players could get injured in these games. We've got English League Cup, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, Newcastle versus Brentford, Southampton versus Liverpool, and Tottenham versus Manchester United. So you can see there's some big games there where a lot of our FPL assets will be playing. So if you can, wait, let these fixtures go. You might get even more information to help you with your transfer. So definitely wait if you can. Next player I'm going to discuss is Aït-Nouri. Now, this is a player who served us well. 4.8 million. 40 points, minutes have been really good. XG 1.4, XA 1, which is pretty good for a defender at that price. But having said that, he plays for Wolves. Their defense is hideous, hence why the manager's been fired. When you look at the returns for the last 6, 2 returns, is that good or is it bad? I mean, let me know in the comments. Would you rate that as good for a 4 million asset? I don't think so. I'd expect 1, maybe 2 more returns. A lot of us jumped on him when he had the excellent fixtures, but as you can see the fixture list now, those fixtures have gone. Leicester away, Man United at home, Tottenham away, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, all horrible fixtures. When you're Wolves, every fixture is hard. Now, when you look at his predicted points, it just cements it even more. He's suspended for game week 17, so you don't even have him, even if you wanted to play him in that fixture, which is the best one, Leicester. After that, the predicted points don't look good at all. The red card at the weekend was the final nail in his coffin. He couldn't even escape the 4 yellow card situation, and I'll tell you why. Aït-Nouri was already set to miss Saturday's trip to Leicester after picking up his 5th yellow card of the season. But he will now miss that game because of the sending off. But then when he comes back for the Manchester United game in Boxing Day, he will still be on 4 yellow cards. So if you do keep him and bench him for this week, you still have the stress, as well as the horrible fixtures, of him potentially getting another yellow card and missing another game. For me, that just cemented this guy has got to go. I think it's an easy one. Get in the comments and let me know if you're going to keep him. I'll be astonished. Easy sell. The last player I'm going to discuss in this video is Diallo, a player who has really impressed me. Since Amron's come in, he's gone up another level. Before then, he wasn't getting the minutes. Clearly, the new manager has seen the potential. Now, the minutes have increased. He's currently on 883 minutes, but we can see at the moment, he's going to become a 90-minute player. 65 points, which is not too bad considering he hardly started playing at the start of the season, and 5.2 million, which is gorgeous, so cheap. XG of 2, XA 1.4, and 4.6 points per match is not to be sniffed at. Currently 9.7% owned, this is going to rocket up. Now the fixtures: Bournemouth at home, Wolves away, Newcastle, Liverpool, Southampton, Brighton. It's a bit of a mixed bag, and yes, Manchester United are coming off an excellent win against their rivals Manchester City, but the reality is this Manchester United team is still not ready, so we have to tread with caution. When you look at his last 6 game weeks: 13 point, 5 point, 1, 11, 8, 6. That's only 1 blank in the last 6. Super impressive. Look at the minutes. Only one of them he played 45 minutes. So bear that in mind. The returns are there and the minutes are there. Now, like I said earlier on, Amad has really impressed me. Since Amron took charge, Amad has directly contributed to 6 Premier League goals, providing 5 assists and scoring 2. Against City, Amad made the most passes in the final third, 16, had the most touches in the opposition box, 10, and completed the most take-ons, 5. Now, you saw him in that game. He was a player possessed. He took it upon himself to make sure Manchester United won. Love that heart, the spirit, but also he's shown the ability. Now, some people have been put off by Amad potentially playing wing back and sometimes playing in the front 3. Now, I've got a graphic on the screen to show you it doesn't matter that much. Yes, in the front 3, he gets more permissions to make runs into the box. Of course he would. And he gets less pressure to run back and help the defense. But when you look at the 2 graphics, it does tell you he's still very attacking when he plays wing back. So do not be put off by that. If you're going to get 90 minutes out of Amad in those good fixtures, playing whether it's wing back or attacking in the front 3, I still think is an excellent option and it shouldn't alarm you too much. Now, I've spoken about all the positive stuff. Now, one of the things we must say, there are other cheap alternative midfielders at the moment. FPL is currently throwing us loads of options in midfield and up front who are relatively cheap, which is allowing us to have the most expensive defense and midfield and goalkeeper. We really can stack up because these cheap players are perfect enablers. Now, in this scenario, I've just put a couple up. We've got Iwobi, Rodgers, Kluivert, Enzo. There's even more. So the point I'm trying to get at here is Amad has been incredible, but there are other options. So you're not forced into it, or you don't necessarily need to make a sideways move. Say if you own Enzo, you don't need to sell him and get Amad in. Having shown you the alternative options, me personally, I really like Amad. I love the way Amron has spoken about him in the press conferences. I know he's a fan favourite. He showed his potential against Manchester City. I think the minutes are going to be there over the Christmas period, regardless if he plays wing back or plays in the front 3. I like him. And if you're looking for a cheap midfielder, I'm going to say buy. Get in the comments and let me know if you agree or disagree. I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I hope you found it useful. Do me a favor, get in the comments and let me know who you're transferring in this game week. Before you jump off to the next video, drop a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And the last thing for me to say is I wish you good luck and I'll see you on my next video.